What's up? Welcome back to the Modern Commerce Podcast, a marketer edition today, super packed with tactics, marketing tactics you can test. We are doing a little 3-2-1 format. So we're going with 3 tactics that we've tried and you should try too. We're going with 2 things you should avoid, even if people are telling you to do them. And we're going with 1 hot take or debate. That's coming up right after a quick word from today's episode sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Reconvert, a Shopify app that will instantly help you increase your average order value. So after somebody places an order, they pay now. My order's being processed. The number one way that we have found to increase average order value is the post-purchase one-click upsell, which looks just like this. After somebody buys, you make them another offer, and if they take it, it is instantly added to their order. Best way to increase AOV.
That's true, John, but it's not perfect for every brand and every customer for every brand. So one of the other tools that not very many brands are taking advantage of right now is using this confirmation page as real estate to be pitching offers here as well. People are going to be coming back to this page quite often, checking on the status for their orders, and it's a great place to be pitching them other products. It won't be a one-click upsell, but an upsell nonetheless. Great place to get extra conversions. People might reconvert even. So head on over to reconvert.io to increase your average order value today.
What's up, everybody? We're back. I'm John. I'm here with Casey. Casey, in that ad read, you drop a little dad joke, which is a good one. I'm a big fan of the dad joke, which just made me think. I want to know before we get started here and get into some marketing tactics, what was the hardest you laughed today?
The hardest I laughed today. I mean, it was probably with you just not too long ago.
Just barely.
Yeah, we were just discussing some, we just did a little 10-minute rap sesh on some sitcoms from
90s
the 90s
sitcoms
that we like. And specifically Frasier. Loving Frasier right now. I'm watching Frasier back, and it holds up. Let me tell you, it's really good.
Frasier really holds up, huh?
Yeah, binged the whole thing in a few weeks. So
that's like a lot. That's like 250, 260 episodes, maybe 270.
That's big boy math.
It's a lot of episodes. Yeah. It checks out. Yeah, you definitely give me a dad vibe, like in the chair, basically the lowbrow group, the lowbrow one of the group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, he seems like he's right at your speed. I don't know what the hardest I laughed today was. Probably I don't think I've laughed today. Maybe the same.
Well, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know what. Yeah, this was a bad open. We should just reshoot this. I'm like, I haven't laughed.
John, what's the hardest you cried?
10 days. Hardest I cried.
Well, I mean, you got to be doing something. You can't.
Just no. So here's something that happened today that I hate. I didn't cry, but I was playing basketball during my lunch kind of break or whatever, and it was weird to say lunch break because I'm like, I don't work for somebody.
At recess, you mean?
Yeah,
Do you mean at recess you were playing basketball?
I went to during recess. I was playing some basketball with my friends, and a dude hurt his knee. That's I don't know how bad it is, but it was one of those things where it's like nothing happened. He just heard it changing directions. Ugh. And was instantly on the ground and swear words, groans of pain. And it's one of those things where you're like, I don't want to know that happens to people. Especially as you get older and you know that could happen to you, no contact, no nothing. You just hurt yourself in a way where it was he couldn't really walk afterwards.
Oh yeah, those non-contact injuries are the worst. I mean, if it's your knee, that's
just torqued it. Yeah,
that's major. That's an ACL or an MCL or both or something. That's not good.
They and they were talking afterwards. I guess this guy's hurt his other knee while they were playing, and the other time he heard it, they were like, "Oh, it was loud. It was like a freaking 22." I'm like, I don't even want to know that that's happened. I don't want to know that exists. Yeah, it's very. So that was probably the most gut-wrenching thing that happened to me today.
That's why I stick to cornhole. Very, very few injuries.
Very few ACL tears in cornhole. Not a lot.
In the ACL, actually. That's what they call the league. So
yeah. No MCL tears, no major Achilles.
Let's be honest. Most of the injuries people are sustaining playing cornhole is not during the game. It's while they're drinking off the side.
Right. Yes.
One goes with the other.
And they're no, so that's my day. That's what I got going on. All right, let's get into some marketing
Hey, I'm
tactics
I'm
today.
glad you didn't cry today, John. I'm glad you didn't. Not that it'd be
Hey,
a problem if you did.
it's a middle. It's an even day, right? No laughs, no cries, just right down the middle.
It's not the blues, not the like the sunnies. It's
We'll see what
it's like
happens. It's
middle.
Friday, so like, may watch a movie with the kids after this, and like, if it's a Pixar movie, like I'm crying for sure. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like Pixar,
Oh man,
dude, Pixar gets me every time. Soul, that movie makes me cry. I've seen it several times now, and I've cried every single one.
this isn't a Pixar movie, but very family friendly. I mean, it's Tom Hanks, so like that's
Yeah.
he's only in family friendly movies, I think. A man named Otto, or man called Otto, whatever it's
Oh
called,
yeah.
dude.
I haven't seen that one, but
Tear jerker. No spoilers, but man, that one,
Tom Hanks is pretty good tearjerker. Even Castaway. Like when Wilson dies, I'm like, what? No, no, Wilson.
bro.
He's
I
not even a
felt that
person.
one. I felt that one too.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to cry, if you want to cry, pop on A Man Called Otto. I think it's
I'm a
on
I'm a
Netflix.
fan of a good movie
You
cry,
will.
you know.
You will cry if you watch it. It is brutal.
Do you know I had never cried in a movie at all till I was like 20, basically until I had my first kid. I'd
Wow.
never once cried in a movie. Like could be no matter how sad it was. Like give me the saddest movie, I wouldn't cry during it.
It's like
I might
borderline
be
like,
close, but it was like a point of pride. Like no, I don't cry. Like
yeah.
and then I had
It's
kids, and I'm like, yeah, I'm soft now. You know, pretty much every Disney movie, I'll be like, oh, they were friends with the person who had no friends.
I'm glad it happened to you, man. You're more human now, more
Yeah,
relatable.
not a robot anymore. All right, let's get into some marketing tactics, and I will kick us off. So we're gonna do a 3-2-1 format. I think I said that at the beginning, but we're
You
gonna do
did.
a 3-2-1 format. Little something I stole from James Clear. I think he's the author of Atomic Habits, or another big book if it's not Atomic Habits. He has a 3-2-1 newsletter. That's pretty cool. So we're going to go 3 tactics that we're either testing or we recommend testing. They're high on our priority list, or we've done them and we think you should do them too. 2 things that are like maybe like popular narratives that we're like, nah, don't do it. It should be low on your priority list. And 1, either like hot take or debate. If Casey and I find something we disagree on, we'll debate about it. So I will kick us off with 3 tactics you should test. My first up out of the gate, is TikTok live selling. So there's a brand that we've been working with recently, collabing with for a sports podcast, DAP Sports, that they've got like 800,000 TikTok followers on their main, but like they make all their money doing TikTok live selling all day, every day. They are live on TikTok, and they're doing like what's called sports card breaks, which is like a whole thing where, like you put up this, group of, basically, you put something up and you're like, oh, we're going to open this box of baseball cards. Everybody buy your team, and you buy in on a team. Like, and if I buy the Mariners, any Mariners card they open, I get. And if they don't open any Mariners cards, then I don't get anything, though DAPS does a little insurance thing where they send me something anyway. But yeah, like, so it's kind of this gamified live selling buying thing. But there's a lot of people live selling other stuff on TikTok, clothes, toys. We've seen the live selling model work as well on Facebook before. But TikTok specifically is really, really getting into this and pushing this. They have like kind of created a program with DApps where they push a lot of traffic to DApps during their lives. And yeah, I mean, they'll have like 200-300 viewers all day when their TikTok shop is working, and it's like a whole vein on TikTok. Like there's a lot of people live selling. So if you have something that is conducive to live selling, then definitely try it. I think it works really well for product that turns over regularly. You know what I mean? Like if you sell, I don't know, if you sell like podcast microphones, you probably have like one main product,
Right.
but if your product turns over a lot, it can totally work.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't work for everybody, but I think the live selling mechanism, just in general, it like generally works.
I mean, QVC has been around forever. Shopping Network's been around forever. Like it's not
right. And
unheard of.
like you said, we've seen it work on Facebook. We've worked with different brands that had a lot of success on Facebook doing it. It only makes sense to me that a platform more equipped for mobile, like TikTok, that would just translate over super well. So yeah, not a huge surprise why we see that kind of working with certain brands like DApps. And yeah, definitely something to recommend to test if you haven't before. It can feel kind of funky if you don't do live content usually,
So
but don't
yeah,
be afraid of it. Don't be
my
afraid.
my suggestion would be like there's other sports card companies. Daps is live all the time, but there's other sports card companies, and we actually have an episode. I can't remember what number it is, where we talk to somebody who is like a clothing boutique. Alan, his wife had a clothing boutique that she started that did live selling with clothing. Um, I think like a good foray into is like to go like do like a 2 hour live and kind of plan out like, all right, here's the products we're going to go through. You know what I mean? And then you can kind of say, oh, we're going to spend about 2 minutes per product or 5 minutes per product or whatever. And with TikTok, you can have your shop connected right there. So create your TikTok shop, plugs into Shopify nicely. You can create your TikTok shop and you can have your shop plugged in and just say like, all right, tap the shop, and then you can have your link in bio as well. Definitely try it. If you're not huge on TikTok, then like you don't have anything to worry about. Like you probably won't get a lot of sales from it at first, but you can start to practice it. But TikTok has a thing, and no other platform has done this yet. So this is a little bonus tip. TikTok, you can actually promote your lives. So you can run ads to your live sales. And so even if you don't have a TikTok following, you can run ads to your live sales. I think you only have to have 1,000 followers to go live on TikTok, which is not hard to get. And yeah, you can run ads to your live sales, which I remember like when we were doing lives on Facebook, we were like, I wish we could run ads directly to this, but you can on TikTok. So
Just to tie this up for you, John, that episode you were referencing where we had a live seller on, a live selling boutique on, that was one of our How to Build a Brand episodes. It was ModCom number 51, half a lifetime ago for us.
51.
But if you want to check it out, viewer/listener, you can easily do that anywhere you consume our podcast. Episode number 51 with Blushing Brunette Boutique. Alan Jernigan was our guest. That one I remember.
The guest name, but I couldn't remember the boutique name.
Yeah, we like working
Alan.
with other people who do live content. Not a lot of things focus on live first, and we kind of do.
We're big live guys. Big live guys over here.
We like it. F it, we'll do it live.
Yep. All right, Casey, what you got?
All right. Well, I mean, I had to pull up something to find out what episode that was. So let me click back over here. So yes, I would say my tactic that I recommend testing. This is going to be a spin on something you hear all the time. I would be surprised if just about anybody has heard this for the first time, but maybe you have. The simple version is repurpose your content across multiple platforms. So again, at its simplest, something that you that worked on Facebook, also run it to Instagram. Also, put that on other platforms as well.
I mean that's for ads, that's for organic. Definitely test things that work across multiple platforms. Pretty easy, right?
That's
but
what's
your kind of what's your kind of unique variation or take on this?
Yeah, kind of tough to explain, but if we talk about it a little bit, I think it becomes clearer. It's just adopting the mindset ahead of time, even in the like conceptualizing phase of production for your creatives and things like that, that you're forecasting that you're going to be doing this. So there's no reason to try to build creatives or anything like that, or copy or anything specifically for a certain platform if you know you're going to try to use it more universally. So you just kind of need to make good content. And then if you're kind of using it in a lot of places, you'll find where certain types of content tend to thrive more often, where they tend to not. And then you can kind of optimize from there. Because I actually think that this is such a common tip nowadays that it's lost. We've thrown the baby out with the bathwater a little bit.
Yes, I think people over repurpose a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And it doesn't mean take asset A and from one platform and slap it onto the other platform as is. It's like try to take the essence of it and adapt it rather than just fully repurpose it. I think that's a way better way to look at it. Where's the pulling the shaking the rust off of this one, find the littlest hinges that swing the biggest doors. So like focus on the littlest things you can do to make something appear more native to another platform where you go to repurpose it.
So that's the big thing I would say is like, I think everyone gives the advice to repurpose content, and I'm like naturally kind of a contrarian guy. So I'm always like, well, you know what? I think that people who are native users of a platform can really sniff out when content isn't native to that platform. Like, so for example, if you're like a really native Instagram user, you can kind of tell when something wasn't made for Instagram. I mean, you can definitely tell when it was made for TikTok versus when it was like originally posted as a reel, or like if it was originally made by someone who is primarily on Instagram as opposed to TikTok, right? And a lot of times it has the TikTok branding in it, so it's a dead giveaway, but it's just a different type of content, you know, that people are repurposing. And this is like really true of certain platforms. So that's what I mean. That's like a good point when you're like, make it native. And then the other thing that happens when you repurpose regularly is you kind of realize like where you can't cross repurposing lines. So this is getting into a different kind of content, but like for example, like we have newsletters and we have podcasts. Like we can't just take our podcast transcript and make it our newsletter. It doesn't feel native. We can't just take a newsletter and make it into a Twitter thread. It doesn't feel like, you have to rewrite it for the platform. You know what I mean?
But that
can't take
doesn't mean that the content itself isn't 95% the same. It's just kind of reworked.
Right. Yes, it can still be like the same in its essence, but it needs to be reworked. And I like what you said about like kind of start with repurposing in mind. So like a one that we do a lot is like we repurpose this pretty much same exact content across TikTok Reels and YouTube Shorts, and that makes sense because a lot of people who are consumers on those like platforms, heavy Shorts consumers, heavy TikTok consumers, heavy like Reels consumers, they're like kind of used to seeing repurposed content, right? Because a lot of people are repurposing across those three channels. So
not to mention that those three specific placements are each one of those like larger companies' answers for each other, right? They aren't trying to reinvent the wheel with, you know, Google with YouTube Shorts or TikTok or you know, and Instagram Reels. It's they want a copy and paste version of that because that's such a compelling newer style format that just representation is important of that kind of format on just about any platform right now. I think that's why you really can't find, you know, even Twitter, you're going to find vertical videos everywhere you go because so many people just shoot there. It feels organic and natural on a way more often than shooting in horizontal, right? Like how we're in, if you happen to be watching the YouTube or the video version of this podcast, you know, we're both shooting in horizontal mode right now, which, you know, as you have things framed up, it's not super easy to adapt that to vertical after the fact, right? Like a lot of times just looks a little, like you said, just doesn't look like it was purposefully done that way. But we've found little hacks along the way where we can, we know you learn little tricks and platform to platform specifically, you learn what works and what doesn't work. So I think that's something that everybody has to go on their own journey, but at its broadest level, just
repurpose the idea.
Yes, exactly. Repurpose the essence.
Yes. Okay. So my last one is something I tested recently that I was kind of surprised works. Is like really counterintuitive to a lot of what like ad gurus, they're calling themselves creative strategists, which is funny because that's actually Casey's former title, and it was a title I made up when we were working at Structured. And I think that like myself and Nick Shackelford were actually the first ones to kind of use this like creative strategist title, and now it's everywhere, creative strategist. But a lot of the creative strategists, Twitter, you know, crowd right now, or you know, wherever you consume content, Twitter is a really common place to consume, especially direct to consumer e-commerce content. A lot of them are preaching this idea of like you know your audience and use like problem, agitate, solution formulas and stuff like that. But like when they show you examples, it's all the same vanilla UGC crap. Like it really, it does, it all looks the same. And it's this really like, it's not professional content. It's, you know, it's native to platform type of content. So it's it's a little bit better than like a fully professionally done video, which just like smells like an ad from second one. But it's still like, oh, it's kind of like the most vanilla version of non-professional content, of UGC or creator content. And basically they're all saying the same thing of like, use this vanilla, you know, and make it look native to platform, and use problem, agitate, solution, and introduce the product early. So I tried an ad that I feel like is like vastly different than that. So this ad it's 3 minutes long. First of all, it's like not a 15 or 20-second video, which a lot of that stuff is 30 seconds, whatever. It's a 3-minute long video, and it is a red background with words. It's 3 minutes of just words on a red background. So it's a little bit more like, if you remember, it's like going it's like throwing back to stand out, if that makes sense, right? So
Mm.
ad formats that used to work like 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, like trying that again, because everybody else is using the stuff that works right now. So like, if you remember, like if you've been around for a while in marketing, you remember the VSL. That's essentially what this is. It's just it's not, some VSLs are long, 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, whatever, hour long. It's only 3 minutes long. But I just said, realize that I just framed something. I said it's only 3 minutes long. 3 minutes long is long for a video ad for e-commerce, right? So it's
Sure.
it's 3 minutes long, but that's what it looks like. It's VSL. It's words coming over a red background. And I have different color variations: red, white, yellow, whatever.
No, specifically red backgrounds
Red
only.
red did outperform the other colors, but it might not for
Sure.
you. You can use a brand color here if you really feel like you need to be on brand, but I never show the product. I don't even introduce the product until 2 minutes into the video. So it feels like content, right? Like, it feels like, it's got a hook and a problem. And given this is like a passionate audience, so it's like you can kind of get them riled up and passionate about something right away. And I won't reveal so this brand is political in nature, which is why I'm not saying what the brand is, because I'm like not really trying to get into that on modern commerce. But it's political in nature, so it's like really easy to like get them hooked and get them like reading content right away. And then I don't introduce the product until 2 minutes in. I think this works really well for products where it's like, I don't need to see it to get it. So like supplements, for example, it's like, does seeing powder getting put into liquid really help you sell that supplement? Like, probably not. Like, the benefits or the outcome that people want is what helps you sell the supplement. Now, if your product is like inherently demonstrable, definitely show it. But this is something for like the supplement people of the world, like the people who are selling something where it's like, I don't need to show it for people to really sell people on the idea that they need to be sold on. So yeah, that's just something different. Like, go back to some old ad formats that used to work, 2016, 2017, because now nobody's doing those anymore.
Yeah, and that's nothing crazy to imagine, right? Like, there's a reason why the kids are starting to wear looser fitting pants again, right? Like,
Yep, the
it's this
90s.
is same exact kind of deal. Style is cyclical. So are ad strategies, apparently. Who knew?
Yeah. All right. So that's our 3 tactics that we're testing or we recommend testing. Let's move on to 2 things that you should avoid, even if people tell you to do them. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I'll go first. Why not?
Yeah. I'll go
So
either way.
my choice here, I thought about this one for a minute. I liked your answer to this. You had landed already on what your answer was first, and I liked it. And I wanted to match that with something I thought was similarly good. But I think only certain people will get this to its fullest extent.
Yeah.
And my example of things that some people might tell you to do, but you should avoid or potentially avoid, would be full service agency across all of your paid channels.
Mm. So you're not
Yeah,
even saying like full service, because there's a whole other level of full service agency that does like all paid channels, email, CRO, website built. Like, we're
right.
like kind of front to back e-commerce. You're saying like, don't even hire a full service across all your paid channels.
I think that,
That's even more hot. That's a pretty hot take. That could
yeah,
have gone in
I
the hot
wrote it this
take
way
section.
to be more hot takey,
Okay.
but taking the principle of this and extending it to what you just mentioned, like full service, everything across everything, even more so.
Yeah.
Even more so. Essentially, my my reasoning behind it is that you don't know what you're sacrificing, first of all, because you limit the amount of tests that you control. You're kind of outsourcing all of that.
Mhm.
And there is always the potential that these people are handling it perfectly. They're the A1
Yeah.
number, the best people who could possibly be managing all the things. Sure, that's in the range of outcomes. It's pretty unlikely though, right? Like again, if you take every single one of your acquisition channels, add in those retention channels too, like you're talking about, um, it's usually like a sharpshooter, a skilled person at
Yeah.
those specific platforms. They're going to be more skilled at it. They're going to be better.
Yeah.
And when you say, oh, but this person will just do all of it, maybe you get a price break. Sure, that's something to consider. Maybe you Maybe they're able to now present data to you in a whole nother way because you're just too busy. Sure, there's value in all those things, but to automatically assume that that's the gold standard, that's where I think it's dangerous, because that
Yeah.
feels like operating out of ignorance to me, or operating out of convenience, to the point of where, like, yes, you could get all your meals at a convenience store and that's super convenient for you. It's far from the best way to get sustenance into your body.
Right. And whether you're trying to be healthy or whether you're trying to eat good food, it's not the best way, right?
Exactly.
This reminds me of like we were talking about sitcoms earlier. There's another sitcom that you and I both like called New Girl, and like there's this scene where they like go to this restaurant that is like this kind of nice bougie place in LA, and they're serving like they've got like authentic Italian food and like authentic Chinese food and authentic
Are
Mexican
you
food.
an
And one of the
Italian guy? Did I hear
yeah
an Italian there?
Italian. I think I say it both ways, just depending.
Interesting. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I think I went a little Theo Von with it there. Like they serve that Italian food.
That
Uh,
Italians.
yeah, the Italian food, and then they serve that Vietnamese food. Uh, so like, and one of the characters essentially says like, what are these guys? These guys are doing too much. They can't be doing all this well. Like,
Hmm.
and that's actually the case for like I would say like 95% of like quote unquote full service agencies, is that they started out like really good at one thing and they added the
Hmm.
other services because their clients wanted them, and it was an opportunity for them to make more money without getting more clients, which is a good thing in the agency world because it keeps them more focused on fewer clients. The problem with it is then that they're like also working outside of their core competencies. There are some that do it well, and like certain things, like if they've acquired, like we were at Structured, and they didn't build an email team, they acquired an email team, right? So that team was fully dedicated to email, and then they had a paid team that was like fully dedicated to paid. So that does maybe work a little bit better, right? But then you have this whole thing of like you basically have two separate like siloed operating systems. I think I probably wouldn't typically go for a full service agency unless it was like it's pretty simple, right? So I consult with Perk Clothing, and we do use this full service agency, but honestly, it's like it's Facebook, Google, and email, and that's how we make all of our money. And even then, I would say like they're not great at Google. Like they're not a Google agency.
Hmm.
And so if we really wanted to capitalize on Google, we would go elsewhere, but it's just not a big focus of ours right now.
Right.
And they're also not great at like adding ancillary channels, right? If we want to run TikTok or Twitter, which I'm not saying I recommend those, but they're a Facebook agency, and then they have a team that's like really good at email. They're good at those two things, and
Yep.
they do some of the other stuff. Uh,
Right.
yeah, I would tend to agree with this. Don't go with them. Don't go with one of those agencies if you can avoid it. Don't build one of those agencies. But sometimes there's just that's the way agencies get built because they kind of end up not having a choice a little bit. Um,
Sometimes, yeah, especially when your main focus is to continually grow, which we've talked about before. If you're an
yeah,
agency, that's not always necessarily what
yeah.
you want, even though you don't know it. That's kind of neither here nor there.
So
A
so
couple
what
things to your
happens,
point.
what happens to agencies is they don't do that and they say like we're going to stay good at this one thing. And so then the brand hires somebody else to do the other thing. Fine. But that agency is one of those that grows by adding services on, and then they offer some price break for all the services, and then the brand ends up going to this other agency that isn't as good at the thing as the first agency, but it's so that they can do it conveniently and for a better price and all of that. So
Right,
that's kind of why agencies' hands are forced here, honestly.
right. Yeah, a couple things there. In that scenario you laid out, you're aware of it. So I would say that's one thing, is you're not just operating out of ignorance.
Yeah.
You're aware that there's probably somebody who could handle that Google account better, but
Yeah.
you've made certain choices
It's
and
not a
that's
priority.
fine,
Yeah.
right? You're
Yeah.
aware of those choices. That's all I'm saying, is don't operate under the assumption that having a full service agency controlling everything for you is the best thing just in general once you get to a
Yeah.
certain point. It's not necessarily, because the other thing that we haven't talked about is, make no mistake, those agencies, speaking as former agency people,
Reformed. Yeah.
yeah, it is impossible for an agency not to look at big accounts, which if they're handling lots of your channels, almost definitely it's a big account for them. They're always looking for ways to make themselves indispensable to you
Yep.
so that they can't be replaced. And
Retention huge if you're big. Yeah.
from that brand side, you're not even aware of what those levers are. You don't know what you might be saying goodbye to if you were to break it off with them and walk away. You don't if they fundamentally understand your business better than you do and how
Yeah,
the things work, you don't know what separating from them will do for your business, which is
that's kind of what they want.
horrifying, honestly. That's
Yeah.
scary.
That's kind of good for the agency, and I get why they do it on their side because
Exactly.
agencies become so commoditized that like it's really easy for brands to break up with them. So, yeah, and this is a good point. This is a good tip. I like it. It's pretty hot takey. I'll move things along here though, and I'll go. Yeah, sizzling, a spicy take. We should have like a hot sauce sponsor and have like the Tabasco hot take.
Yeah.
New idea. All right, Tabasco, you owe us $500. Okay. TikTok paid is what I'm going to say. So I went TikTok giveth, TikTok taketh away. I said TikTok live selling. You should totally do it. And I would, if you are live selling, I'm not against you testing the paid to live selling. I can't put my stamp on it. I can't stand by it. I haven't tested it that much. But I would like that would be, okay, we're already live selling. Let's try running some paid to our live sales. That would definitely be on my priority list. Running TikTok paid for most e-commerce, I think it's something you should be deprioritizing. Now, don't at me, all you TikTok agencies or all you people who are crushing it with TikTok ads. I literally have not seen any one of you be willing to share the inside of your ad account with me. Now, if you want to share the inside of your ad account with me and your like back end of your like, show me, like prove it to me, and don't not just like crappy attribution, but like show me your Northbeam or your attribution tool or your Google Analytics and the inside of your TikTok ad account and your actual like blended MER and new customer acquisition costs. You'll show me that and convince me that TikTok is actually crushing it for you. Great. Not a single one of them. And there's some people who claim to be doing really big numbers on TikTok. Not a single one of them has been willing to show me. And I'll sign an NDA. I'll do whatever. Right. Like
Yeah.
I would love to be proved wrong here. I would love to know that TikTok is a channel that we could really scale at the level of Meta. But even those who I think are running the most scale on it, people like Obvi and stuff like that, they have said the same thing is like, oh, it's kind of a wave channel. Like you might get really good wave of paid from TikTok, and we've had that. But it won't be, it's not nearly as consistent. Meta's still king in interruptive advertising. For most brands, I would deprioritize testing TikTok. If you're like, oh, that's at the top of our list. Again, why, where are you getting that information? You know what I mean? And what are their motivations?
That's exactly where I was going to take this next. Is I don't know that I would phrase it exactly like most brands should deprioritize TikTok testing, most ecom brands, even though that is the essence
I'd
of
say
it.
it's getting overhyped.
I think you just don't like know why you're doing what you're doing. Just follow the numbers. If it's not something that's returning fairly early on, like at the very least, like decrease the ad spend. Like that just feels like ad budgets 101 kind of. But
Right.
something about TikTok and the craziest success stories that people want to believe in, sans data a lot of times, like you're saying, people want to believe that TikTok is the perfect platform for their brand to be advertising on. Probably just because they like TikTok, honestly. Like some decision maker
or
likes the
because it's
platform
so big
itself.
organically, right? And I'm not
Sure,
saying
sure.
don't do TikTok organically. I'm not saying don't even like maybe an influencer or a creator strategy on TikTok could work for you, but
Right.
paid, just I have not seen it back out yet, to be honest. And
And
even all the people who claimed that it is, I have not seen any one of them prove it to me.
And TikTok is probably because creatives last such a short amount of time, the
It's the
amount of
heaviest
work,
lift.
exactly, the amount of work you have to put into constantly replenishing your creative, your creatives, it, the juice is likely not worth the squeeze for most
This is what I
brands, which
mean when
is
I say
essentially what you said.
deprioritize it, because it's
Yeah.
like if you really want to test TikTok, you got to be busting creatives out like crazy. So you got to be basically put this whole system around really getting a lot of creatives done to test on TikTok. Otherwise, like you're kind of DOA if you're not doing that. Like there's no point to doing it if you're not going to do that. And doing that is a heavy lift, right? So you're actually talking about like dedicating some real resource to testing this channel. And so if that's where you're at, like that resource probably could be more wisely dedicated.
Yeah. The one thing that just to bail TikTok out real quick, last little pin I have in it is TikTok isn't a bad creative testing platform. So if you look at it more like, are these like if something is viable on TikTok as a creative, it's likely very viable or
Meta.
downright like excellent on like Facebook,
Yeah.
Meta, other platforms, because TikTok is tough. That's the dirty little secret most people don't want to say. TikTok is hard to be
Yeah.
successful on.
Yep. Oh yeah. Okay. Last section. Before we get into this, let's get a quick word from our other sponsor for today's episode. What's up, everybody? Today's episode is brought to you by ModCom. It's a super slick in-car upsell app. So if I want to buy these New Balance trainers I'm trying to get in shape, I add them to my cart. My cart opens up and it says, "Hey, look, you're only $5 away from free shipping." So I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll add this to my cart since you recommended it, and now I got my free shipping." But hold up. I'm only $38 away from a free gift. So why don't I add a pair of size 8 New Balance trainers to my cart for my girlfriend? She's got bigger feet than me. And now look at this. It actually automatically added that free gift straight to my cart for me. That will all be there when I check out. Super nifty app, super slick, super quick way to increase your AOV. Go to monkcommerce.com. Try it free on your store for 7 days. All right, we're back. So time for our final section, hot take or debate. I feel like section 2 is a little hot takey, honestly.
It was.
But we'll get like a hot take or a debate, and maybe we'll try and manufacture a debate. I'm pretty good at taking whatever side of a debate. So maybe I'll just take whatever the opposite side of what Casey thinks is, and see if I can disagree with him. So let's do this one. There's been lots of Twitter threads on this, and a lot of people kind of preaching this strategy or tactic of influencer seeding. And so, yeah, I mean, I reference Twitter a lot. I think Twitter is probably one of the best places for marketers to be consuming content other than newsletters and podcasts right now. Marketers, and especially e-commerce marketers, if you're an e-commerce marketer, but really all types of marketers, honestly. But there's this trend called influencer seeding. The idea essentially being that you seed your product to influencers, you seed your product to creators on, TikTok and or Instagram, and no, quote unquote, no strings attached, right? So you send them the product, you reach out to them, ask them, "Hey, I'd like to send you this for free, no strings attached, you don't have to post or anything like that." And a percentage of them actually will post it, and you'll get sales that way. And the content they would create will be better content because it was no strings attached. They create better content because they actually like the product and they're actual real brand advocates for it. So it gives you better content to use in your ads. So that is the strategy. I think surface level, it's like, sure, why not? Seems really good. Casey, your thoughts?
Yeah. So for this to be a hot take / debate segment like we want it to be, I think the most important piece to that is, what is the alternative? Assuming that you're just not out on influencer marketing in general, right? Because then influencer seeding definitely doesn't interest you. So I guess where I have to frame the debate is influencer seeding versus other influencer marketing strategies, essentially. Right. So how far am I in on influencer seeding as a strategy within influencer marketing? I think it's not a bad idea, for sure. I don't think it's the only way to do it. And it feels like not a new thing either. Like, it doesn't, maybe it's getting more buzz now that like, oh yeah, of course you got to be doing it this way. That feels like maybe it's a little bit of a trend. I think it's generally, a lot of the things you said are somewhat true, but I don't think that's the only way you arrive to a creator or an influencer making good content for you. For sure. I don't think that's the only way you get there. I don't think you have to upfront just hand them something of value. I think there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. There's a lot of different ways to set up a model where, both sides get what they want.
Yeah.
And this is potentially one of them. So I'm kind of mid on it. What do you think, John?
Yeah, well, mid isn't hot take, you're debating. I'll actually, like, let me try and go. I'll try and take the position.
I knew you'd bring the debate to the table.
All right, so I'll try and take the position of fully like, let me just be against it, okay?
Sure.
And then if you don't bring the position of like, all right, well, here's the counterpoints or whatever, then I'll just play chess against myself. But here's so I am the CMO of Ondar, and which is like everyday carry goods, wallets, bags, things like that. Super cool products. ondar.com. $500 from Ondar now. So we're making good money
Let's go.
in theoretical sponsorships. We're making
Yeah,
great money
we
on the
hit
channel.
4 figures on this episode already. Like,
Yeah.
good job.
I'm the CMO of Ondar, and we specifically do not do the influencer seeding strategy. And Ondar, and I came into this, I didn't build this. I'm not tooting my own horn. They have one of the most advanced influencer strategies I've ever seen from any e-commerce brand.
It's pretty dope. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, influencer and creator strategies. Now, look, the pay for post model, I get it. Like, it used to be, you could just reach out to influencers and you could ask them how much is it for a post, and then you could pay them that much, and you get a return on that, and then you could reach back out to them and be like, hey, can we whitelist? And you could get a return on that, right? And so that was a strategy for a while, or the tactic for a while. Everybody was, and that's great, right? Because it's the value exchange, right? And it's transactional, and it's what the influencer wants, the creator wants. I think I should get away from calling them influencers, honestly, but what the creator wants, and it's what the brand wants, and all of that. The creators have priced themselves out of that, and the platforms have throttled the creators' reach a little bit. So for the most part, you can't get a great ROI on that pay for post strategy anymore. Ondar is better at getting an ROI on it than anybody else, for sure, because they've done it so much. But they've moved to other strategies. We specifically don't do seeding because, one, you can pour a lot of resource into seeding. Now, you could hire a team to do this for you. There are agencies that do it for you, whatever. Fine. That's resource. You're paying somebody to do it for you. On top of that, like, to send our 250, our bags that retail for $250, or our wallets that are really nice that retail for $80, like, we could pour a lot of product cost resource into this. Like, I mean, our margins are fine, but like, really, like, between the resource that we could put into, we already know how much resource goes into outreach to influencers. We know that because we have 3 dedicated team members, or we've had 3 dedicated team members to it, right? So we already know there's a heavy, like, lift into outreach and like follow up with influencers and creators. Add to that product cost resource, and like, what's the potential upside here, right? The potential upside is maybe we get better ad content. How much better? 200, 300% better than the content we create now? Not really, because we have people in-house at Ondar who are our social media managers, who are themselves creators, right? So they already create really good content for ads.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be 200 or 300% better if we're sourcing it from outside? Probably not. And they can already create really high volume. So that's the thing. It's like, if you can already just like maybe hire someone on your marketing team who is a creator themselves, and be like, hey, part of your job, besides posting on social media or whatever their job is to make the ads, right? Or maybe, I mean, we'll probably get into the world where some ad buyers might even do this. Dara Denny comes to mind as somebody who could probably both create ads and run the ads. And so, yeah, I mean, like, that's an alternative. And I think it's like a lower, like, it's kind of like a higher floor alternative, honestly. And I don't think the ceiling is that much higher than it is with influencer seeding. So that's kind of like my issue with it, is that, like, I don't think you should underplay the resource lift that goes into this tactic. Now, it's not inherently a bad tactic, and I get that there's some good things about it, right? Because a really good influencer might then be able to leverage a paid deal and stuff like that. So it's good for everybody or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, this is where I'd really be like negative on this.
Yeah, I think the way I would sum it up is your stance, so the stance you're taking right now, is the smarter, safer approach. Kind of get your ducks in a row ahead of time, know what to expect, and execute things like in an expected way. There's going to be fewer surprises.
Yeah.
I think that in this, like, just unprompted send product off to random creators, or
I mean,
maybe
you got to ask them. It's not fully unprompted. You got to ask them for their address, so they know product is
sure,
coming. But yeah,
sure, and let's also, I said random creators. Let's assume that there's been some research done. Like,
yeah, that you're doing a good job of picking the right
it's
creators.
likely that these are actually good creators. At least like in the right niche. Let's say, you aren't picking people at random. I think that you're assuming more risk, because there's always the chance that, like, kind of nothing comes of it, or something very little comes of it. But if you do hit a home run, and you do happen to, like, find that creator that just vibes perfect with you, That I think is where you're going to get that lift. It's from those specific creators, maybe one out of
Ones that make
a
really good
dozen,
ads.
right? The ones who really know what they're doing, know how to make good content, know how to make good sellable content as well. Not
Yeah.
just good content that sells,
Yeah.
and they fit in your niche like really well. If all the stars align, you could find yourself presenting your brand in the best way possible, I guess, to a certain person. It's just it's a risk, but
It's
yeah,
yeah.
maybe they do. Maybe they
And I would say that ceiling wise,
yeah.
a more tightly controlled creative production process will probably even have a higher ceiling, would even outperform that over time. So for Ondar, for example, like those same 2-3 people making the ads all the time, like I bet they could make a bigger hit than the best creator. You know what I mean? Because
Sure.
they're going to get all the iterative feedback on their past ads. We have had Cody Whittick on the podcast before. Again, can't remember which episode, but this is a big strategy. This is what his whole agency does. So if you want to hear like the positives, like the arguments for this, that's probably the episode to go listen to. Again, I need to be better at like remembering, but it's Cody Whittick, Wittick. If you search our whatever platform you're on for that. But yeah, I mean, that's what his whole agency does. So, I'm not poo-pooing on it. I'm not saying it's a bad strategy or a bad tactic. I'm saying that like think about the resource input and like what if you reallocated that resource input? What do you want out of it? Because you might be able to get what you want out of it in a better way.
Agreed. I actually do agree with that. I guess it's really like there's unknown variables, and in you could paint a perfect scenario where this is the right strategy to use.
Yeah.
But
And
it's always going to be
I'm
with
not
it's always
saying
going to be in
Cody's
hindsight.
clients. Yeah. I'm not
It
saying Cody's clients haven't had success or people haven't. I think people have, right? But
right.
they could have had success other ways too.
And
Sorry, I
that
interrupted
episode
you.
you're referencing is ModCom number 54, the influencer marketing playbook.
Ooh.
Yeah, so go check that one out if you are inclined to do so. If you want to hear more about influencer marketing from a real pro of influencer
Yeah,
marketing.
2 episodes in the 50s reference today. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
We've made a lot of
Okay.
marketing content. All right. Well, I think that's it. 3, 2, 1. So recapping, 3 tactics we recommend testing. We got TikTok live selling. We have repurposing ideas across repurposing content ideas across different platforms. And we have trying some older ad types, that used to work that might work again, specifically long form, heavy copy videos.
Blast from the past.
Yep. Two things that some people might tell you to do, but you should avoid: full service agencies, either as a brand hiring one or as an agency builder building one. And TikTok paid for most e-commerce. Look, there's exceptions to every rule, right? We got however long here to do long form content. We're aware of the exceptions to the rules, like, but by all means, add us with them. Like at me on Twitter and I'm happy to argue with you or be like, yes, that's one of the exceptions that I was aware of or not aware of. I'm always here to learn. And then hot take or debate, influencer seeding, maybe not actually the right path. Everybody who makes content about it, the feedback on that content is always a resounding like, oh gosh, this is so cool. Thanks for the tactics. I'm just saying, like, maybe pump your brakes a little bit. Casey, anything to add? Any final parting shots here?
I guess if I'm trying to pull a common theme out of generally what we talked about today, the one that stands out the most to me is just good old like business 101. Know why you're doing what you're doing, have a
Yeah.
reason for everything you're doing. Even if you're wrong about what ultimately ends up happening, have a hypothesis before you actually go to execute anything.
Yeah.
And if that hypothesis comes to fruition, then that's something you just learned. And if it doesn't, that's also something you learned. But if you kind of come in with this attitude of like, I don't know, I'm just doing something, that's how you learn nothing. And you can also have terrible performance and then just find yourself in a worst of both worlds type
I'm
of
just
position.
being action oriented is fine, but at the end of the day, it's like asking yourself, like, what is it that I'm actually trying to gain from this tactic? And what are the other ways I could potentially gain that thing? And am I either more confident or are they easier to execute? Does it take less resource to execute them, or are they higher impact doing it a different way, right? Like, don't get sucked into shiny object syndrome. Don't get sucked into shiny object
Easy for
syndrome
you to say.
just because somebody wrote a Twitter thread about it. It's not easy for me to say.
Move fast and break things, but also learn how to repair those things
Yeah.
and also learn why it broke.
Which direction to move in. Don't just move fast and move fast. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. If you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. That will help you know when we drop more videos like this. If you liked this episode, we are going to also be having a marketer specific, like a more of a marketing tactics email newsletter where we'll share some of our top marketing tactics that we like, probably in a similar format. Top marketing tactics that we recommend testing, as well as ones we recommend avoiding. You can find that at moderncommerce.live/marketing. And if you are listening on an audio app like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anything like that, please give us 5 stars if you like the show. If you're listening still, you probably like the show. Give us 5 stars and review. Tell us what you think. If you didn't like any of our hot takes, then let us know about it. If you did like some of our hot takes, let us know about it. If you've tested anything that we recommended testing, definitely let us know about it so that we can kind of validate with other people whether those things work or not. I'm John at John JH Coyle on Twitter and Instagram. Casey is Casey at ModCom Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Casey, it's been good, man. Thanks for being here.
It's been real good, John. Thanks for having me.
All right. We will see you next time.